doubling overnight. It's hard to believe, but there is an area in Maryland, in the Baltimore metro area, that inventory has doubled essentially overnight. Yet in reality, month over month.
The interesting thing about this and other areas, but specifically this one, is inventory has been down for so long that headline news sounds crazy. It's doubled overnight, but really it's doubled from a place that is just rebounding from a lot of missing inventory.
Some of the homes are sitting, but there is a particular area in this county that homes are still selling above asking price. Nearly all of them.
Almost all of them across the board. Where is this little hidden oasis, and what does it mean for you if you're thinking about selling?
Hit that notification bell, subscribe below so you can stay current on everything we have going on here in the Baltimore metro area. And today we're going to go into Harford County and the aspects of why inventory is up and where things are selling super fast.
Let's dive into it.
What's happening in Harford County is a bit different than some of the other counties that we've spoken about or will speak about, but Harford County inventory is up nearly 95%. However, there is still one neighborhood that is selling either at or above list price every single time.
Can you guess what it is?
We're going to go through each of the areas in Harford County and give you an understanding of what's actually happening so that you can be informed in the decisions that you make, either if you're a buyer, a seller, or an investor. There has been a county-wide explosion in Harford County with almost 725 homes for sale right now as of this video.
Here's the kicker though, median prices are still up 7.1% across the county. So inventory's up, prices are up, what gives?
Let's start with Havre de Grace. This is a northeast area of Harford County, and prices are down 16%, almost to 400,000 across the board. That's a pretty significant amount.
And what's worse is the days on market there have shot up to 52 days. So we're talking almost 2 months on the market for a lower price point. That means that some of these areas are truly adjusting when it comes to pricing. And some of these are so overinflated that they are coming back to reality. And that always starts in the least desirable areas.
And then there's Aberdeen, where Aberdeen Proving Grounds is. Prices are up 18% there. Up, not down, up 18%. So almost 340,000.
What this tells us is that people who need to be close to the military base are choosing Aberdeen over its sister Havre de Grace, where they used to pay a little bit of a premium to be waterfront. They're trading that waterfront luxury for a more affordable option. And we're seeing that in certain areas where when people have a choice, they're defaulting to the less expensive option. But because of that, they're driving prices up in that less expensive area. It's kind of interesting.
And then for the moment that you've all been waiting for, the area where homes are selling either at their list price or above list price, and that is Bel Air.
The median home price jumped 15.5% month over month, and year over year, we're seeing these houses still sell within 15 to 19 days, which is faster than the surrounding areas. Bel Air is hot, hot, hot right now. It's because there's a ton of lifestyle opportunities, and back to the schools, their rankings have gone up on a lot of major websites, which means people are deciding that that is a great place for them to raise their families and save money on private school tuition.
But here's the weird part about Bel Air. Inventory is actually up there as well, up 127%. Nearly 210 homes for sale as of this video. Home prices are up, they're selling fast, and inventory is up. That's something that needs to be looked into.
If you own a house in Bel Air and you've thought about downsizing, this might be the perfect storm for you. Why is this happening?
Well, there has been a ton of talk about employers making employees come back to the office. So number one, right out of the gate, that is a huge factor in terms of where people are choosing to live.
This county extends into the far northeast reaches of this area. So if you were thinking about living in one of those areas and now you have to go back to the office, that commute is not attainable. So that's reason number one. Reason number two is that a lot of the people are finally settling down post-pandemic and realizing, okay, we really do need to get serious about downsizing. So we're seeing those baby boomers actually let go of their family homes and downsize, which is opening up some of that inventory.
You know, just like any other year, or any other time period. Aberdeen has a lot of families cycling through for military reasons. So they're there for a period of time and then they move 3, 4, 5 years after. So we always have that influx of people coming and going as well. And then factor 2 is something that we've talked about extensively, and probably if you're watching this video, this might even be you, is somebody that's living in the city, in Baltimore City, and then choosing a county to move to. And in fact, Harford County is #1 on that list for buyers.
You have a 45-minute commute to downtown, you have schools, you have access. This is a no-brainer for a lot of families. Tax rates are lower than some of the other options if you were to go towards the west, like Howard or Montgomery. So a lot of families will just go up 95 and find themselves in this nice neighborhood setting that Bel Air has to offer, with a ton of local amenities to boot.
Not to mention the property taxes are 30 to 40% lower than the surrounding areas, especially in the city where taxes seemingly are on a dramatic increase. Number 3 on the list is the infrastructure boom that is going on in Harford County. So it's not just Bel Air being built up, it's all the surrounding areas are continuing to expand. So if you've watched any of our other videos, it's not just stores and things like that. We're actually starting to see some new builds go in all of these areas.
There's also improvements to commuter routes. The Route 40 is definitely improved, so you can get to from this area to DC a lot faster than you could have in the past. And all of the infrastructure is getting a boost. Aberdeen has a huge recruiting goal right now, so they've improved all of their technology and support and building a campus that people are excited to work at. So they're trying to attract top talent. That talent is coming to the area, and that is going to boost prices for you.
All of these factors have led us to sustaining inventory, sustaining demand, creating basically one of the most interesting markets that we have here in the Baltimore metro area.
What do you think? Would you buy a house in Bel Air?
Comment Harford in the comments to get our Harford County buying and selling guide.
Thinking about relocating to Baltimore? Well, I've got just the thing for you. My team and I have actually taken the time to create the ultimate relocation guide, which is meant to save you hours of research, and I've linked it all down below.
From top employers to best hospitals and a boatload of other things, all the stuff you'll need to know before making the move to in and around Baltimore. The best part, this guide is entirely free. Just click the link in the description at the top pinned comment. Hope this helps. Harford County is basically a 2-speed market. And it's essentially broken into 3 different markets. Market number 1 is the Bel Air market. It's essentially the Bel Air frenzy, and that's because prices are right around the $450,000 mark on average. It has a lot of the top rated schools according to the various websites, and you're expecting, multiple offers, a lot of contingencies being waived, and sometimes closing in less than 21 days, which is pretty different than your traditional close, which is around 30 to 35 days. And then we also have the built-in demand with the new builds that are going in and around the Bel Air area. And actually, the builders can't even keep up. And frankly, in my opinion, there's actually a lot of builders out there looking for more Bel Air land so that they can start building even more. So if you want to get into the Bel Air market, you have to be competitive. You have to have a strategy. You have to act fast. And you have to be willing to take on a little bit more risk, most likely, than some of the other areas in Harford County, just because of how popular it is right now. Will that always be the case? Not necessarily. So if you're a seller, that's great. You want to take advantage of that. However, if you're a buyer, you just got to remain steadfast. You have to be calm, and you have to be precise on how you target the properties that you're actually going to go after. Then market number 2 is what we call the Aberdeen value play. So you'll see a lot of military families here providing a lot of steady demand into the area, but also a lot of steady demand, a lot of steady supply coming out of the area, I should say, as they transition into different areas of the country for the military needs. The good news here is that the price point is a little bit lower than, let's say, Bel Air, around the $300,000 to $400,000 range, which is, that can provide a significant amount of savings, especially over time. And here's a little bit of a kicker. The closer you get to the proving grounds, you're gonna save about 20% on the home value if that home was placed in Bel Air. So you're actually getting a lot of bang for your buck. And just kind of unlike what we talked about in the Bel Air market, you're able to negotiate, you don't have to be into a home with not doing inspections or contingencies and so forth. You can actually take your time, slow down, and find the home that's right for you. And then there's market number 3, which is in more like the Haverty Grace area. And all of that waterfront premium stuff that they have up there is kind of disappearing. You're basically paying a $100,000 surcharge just to be a little bit closer to the water. So there's that. And then the days on market are extending up to 52 days, which is almost 2 months. If you think about that, if you're a seller and your house is on the market for 2 months, the anxiety that comes along with that. So being prepared is key. But as a buyer, that's something that you could really take advantage of, really negotiate terms in your favor potentially. And obviously it's all dependent on the house, the neighborhood, so on and so forth. And you're actually probably going to see price reductions happen after about 30 days here. They're actually sometimes in a more hot market, like let's say Bel Air, right? And the home isn't selling in the first weekend, you might actually see a price correction right after that first weekend. Whereas here in Havre de Grace, you might see a price correction after about 30 days. So people are letting it go on a little longer, but the devil is in the delay. So if you are a seller, you want to make sure that your home is prepared to go fast and do everything you can to get yourself in a position to do so. And then for a buyer, you also kind of want to take advantage, because if you let it go too long and you delay it and you wait, say, hey, maybe we can just see it next weekend, that's when somebody else kind of just swoops in. So you still have to remain a bit diligent. Which market do you think would fit for your style and what you're looking for? Is it Bel Air? Is it the Aberdeen? Is it the Havre de Grace? Or is it even more on the lower side in Fallston? Comment Bel Air, Fallston, Havre de Grace, or Aberdeen so I know what you might be looking for. All right, let's talk about seller strategies if you are in these markets. We touched on them a bit, but let's go a little bit more in depth. In the Bel Air market, you have to be priced aggressively from day one. If you price too high, you are going to be out of the water. You're going to be like the problem child. You're going to stick out like a sore thumb. You got to make sure you're within the line of the surrounding comps in your area at this time, not 2020 and all that kind of stuff. Make sure your comps are up to date and you're working with an agent that knows how to position it in the Bel Air market, but specifically the niched neighborhood that you're in. I can't tell you how big staging is. Staging is one of the keys to making sure your home sells fast and sells at a high price point. For example, quick story, Timonium seller. Their house was on the market for a month. Photos were subpar, no staging. They canceled their agreement, hired me. We staged it, professional pictures, professional video, just like you're seeing now, and getting it on the market in a professional, highly marketable manner allowed me to sell this property in 1 weekend. So it makes a huge difference when staging a home. I can't tell you how many times I go into a house with a buyer and we go into an empty house and it just feels cold and bland and unlike a warm, fuzzy feeling that you should feel when going into a home or purchasing a home. So we want to make it be put in the best light as we possibly can so the buyer feels warm and fuzzy and they want to purchase that home.
Hey guys, it's Kelly. I'm here with Mike as well. And as much as I love making these videos, there's one thing I love even more, and that's helping families and people from all across the country make a move here to Baltimore. I moved here about 20 years ago and I've never looked back. I love helping countless families make the move as well. So whether you're coming out next week, next month, or even next year, don't hesitate to reach out. My contact information is right here on the screen, and I've linked the description in case you missed the on-screen pop-up. Look forward to helping you and your family make the move to Baltimore.
And then we got to market to all of the potential buyers. It's not just the families, it's downsizers. It just depends on what your house is and what kind of buyer type would be really interested in your home. So nailing that down beforehand is also going to be very key, because the video tends to market to that person. And then just be prepared to be out of your house a lot as soon as you go into market, because you're probably going to expect 3 to 5 showings in those first day or two. So you're going to be in and out of the house. Expect to do an open house. That's your prerogative, of course, but expect to be out of the house and expect to be a lot of fluctuation with your schedule and your routine. If you can do those things correctly, your home will definitely sell fast and at top dollar. And then if you're in Aberdeen, which is kind of more that balanced market, you want to highlight all of those family friendly features that pertain to military type of families, right? Ease of commute, accessibility to functions where some of you can congregate and have fun with other military families, all the amenities that go along with being a military family, and especially here in Aberdeen. You want to highlight those features as well, as not just the ones that are pertaining to your particular house, but also the lifestyle that's surrounding that area. And then also you want to make sure you're priced correctly. You don't want to be right at the nose of where you're at. And being priced correctly is key basically throughout, no matter if you're a seller in any market essentially. But you want to make sure that you're priced correctly, because if you don't, you will sit on the market. And if you sit on the market, your value is going to come down pretty quick. So we want to stack the chips in your favor as much as we possibly can, so that if we do have to give some away, we're not giving away too many. And then working with a local lender that your agent probably prefers to work with, and see if they have any incentives for military families, or just any incentives at all going on in their current market, so that we can highlight those to potential buyers for the home. So we want to make it as attractive and as easy for them as possible. And then being in the military, you have a lot of different things coming at you at all times. Your timeline could be completely different than a regular family, quote unquote, a regular family, a family that's not military, right? So you might have orders to transfer here to Aberdeen, but it might be a 4-month process. So working and being flexible with any potential buyers, as long as they're giving you a price that you're feeling good about, is only going to help you in the long run. Being really just tight and not flexible is only going to turn people off and not want to come either see the house or even purchase the house. Then if you're in Haverty Grace, we want to make sure that you're priced super aggressively. So if you're seeing a comp at $450, you might even want to be priced around the $400,000 mark. All right, we just want to make sure that we're not too high, because if a buyer sees something that's quote unquote a little low for the area, they're going to flock to your house, and then you can still create some of that bidding war. So you really have to make sure you're taking into account all the comps that are really just basically within the last few months, as opposed to maybe even a year or 18 months. You really just gotta niche down and see what the comps are right here, right now. And then also investing into curb appeal. Make sure, there's a lot of houses that are just not taken care of in Haverty Grace, it seems, lately. So make yourself stand out. We talked about staging, but also talk about investing in curb appeal, right? Making sure the outside, so when somebody comes up your driveway or approaches your home, that they're seeing the house in the best light, right? All the shrubs are taken care of. All the grass is cut. Any flowers, if it's the right season, they're blooming, etc. You know, things are power washed. You don't have a bunch of grime sitting on the side of your house. All those things go a long way. It makes for buyers and how they feel about purchasing the home, that it's well taken care of. And if you have any unique features about your home, so if you're close to the waterfront, or you're close to one of the parks, or you're close to the golf course, make sure you highlight those things, because those are reasons why somebody might approach your home in comparison to approaching somebody down the road. Okay, so highlight those features, make sure those features are standing out, so that you're also highlighting the lifestyle that goes along with purchasing your home. And then just in general, you want to make sure that, we've talked about it, but make sure the home's priced correctly, and make sure that you're doing photos and video. Those are non-negotiables. If you're not doing that, just forget it. You're not going to get the best price unless you're dramatically below market value, in which case you're probably selling not where you could. Photos, video is so essential, because we need to get as many eyeballs on your property as possible. If we don't get eyeballs on your property, then how are we expected to get people in to see your home? It's not, getting it put online with any pictures out there is not enough anymore. Forget it. It's not enough. It was fine in the COVID times, but that is not an acceptable way to market your home here in the back half of 2025. And if you have anything that's lingering in the home in terms of, do you have any outstanding issues in terms of like things need to be fixed, get those things fixed, because they're just going to come up on an inspection, most likely, unless you have tons of offers and people don't do an inspection, and only going to hurt your value, because people are going to either ask for a reduction in the price, right? Or they're going to ask for seller credits. Just get them done. It's going to save you a lot of time, a lot of headache. And hey, if it's saving you that anxiety of being on the market for a long period of time, wouldn't you want to do that? Because when you're in a long period of time on the market, your value goes down. Okay, so let's get those things taken care of now as opposed to waiting. And look, if there's something that you don't have money to do, talk to us. We may be able to, depending on the issue, take care of that, so that it's taken out of the settlement funds when you go and actually close on the house. So we can front those costs so that you don't have to take care of them, and give you some peace of mind that, look, hey, these agents are invested in me and they're willing to put their time and effort into me and making sure my home sells as fast and for a top dollar. If you think you really need a custom strategy as to how to market your home and get your home sold, type in seller into the comments and we'll be sure to reach out to you and help you with this strategy. All right, now on the buyer side, if you are looking into Bel Air, you need to be prepared. You need to have yourself pre-approved. If you don't know how much you can afford or what your budget is, and that's not just the number, right? If you can afford $650, but you also need to know what that monthly payment is going to be, because we all operate on monthly bills. At least most of us, 99% of us, operate on monthly bills, right? So if you're expecting your payment to be $3,500 and it turns out to be $4,500, that's a dramatic change in your lifestyle, most likely, right? On a month-to-month basis. You might not be able to go out to eat as much. You might not be able to do that travel basketball team that your son wants to, that it costs $5,000 a season to play in. You need to be understanding what your monthly payment is so that you can approach homes accordingly. Also being flexible on closing dates. So if somebody needs to close fast and it's a competitive situation, you better believe that you need to make sure that you can close as fast as possible. So that also circles back into the pre-approval process, getting underwritten as much as possible beforehand so that when you do actually put a contract in and it gets accepted, that they've already done a lot of the legwork and you're cutting down the days that it needs to close, and thus providing that value to the seller that they're looking for. Do your best to not waive inspections. Sometimes it's going to be almost required, but you need to make sure that you are totally comfortable if something is going wrong. And you better make sure that you have some kind of emergency fund set aside. Look, it doesn't always go poorly, actually very rarely, but you need to make sure that that is something that you're taking account of. You just can't gamble, and if the sewer line explodes and you didn't know about it and now you have this $20,000 bill, you need to make sure that you're comfortable with some of these things happening, all right? So there are ways to still do inspections, but not either ask for things or have things required. You can still do them kind of for your own due diligence, but just know that there's ways around the waiving inspections. And it's going to be property specific and it's going to be agent specific. You're going to be in need of constant communication with your agent, and your agent's going to be communicating with the other agent, the seller's agent, so that everybody's on the same page. In my opinion, focusing on the condition and the practicality and the livability of the home is a little bit more important than price, as long as it's within your means. Look, if it needs paint and maybe some countertops and so forth, but the flow of the home and the functionality on the day-to-day basis for you and your family fits, then you should pursue that home. Paint can be changed. We have people that can do it on the very cheap, but also you can also paint yourself. It's not the worst thing in the world. Countertops, anything that's kind of very small in the grand scheme of things. Look, you don't want to walk away from a home that's completely perfect, but you just don't like the countertops or you don't like the vanities in the bathroom. Those are things that can be changed. So focusing on how it's taken care of and how it functions and how it's practical to you and your family is key. So focus on that and pursue those. And then if you are looking in the Aberdeen area, like we spoke about, target those military transition periods. That's kind of when you see the best deals really popping off, because these are typically when those folks really need to sell, most likely. Not all of them need to sell. Theoretically, they could rent, but targeting those transition periods will actually go a long way in getting you some value and money back into your pocket. And then have your agent look for some of those oddball situations, maybe those estate sales, maybe those divorce situations. Have your agent reach out to some other agents in the area to see what they have coming up down the pipeline, any relationships that they have, so that you can pounce on any of those deals, and hey, you may even get a deal off market. And then don't be afraid to negotiate for credit. So doing inspections or kind of just offering up front, hey, we're going to give you your asking price, but we would like $10,000 in closing cost help. Doing things like that is going to go a long way for your bottom line, but also make it easier on you and your family. And hey, most likely these sellers are going to be open to these types of situations. And then if you're in the Haverty Grace area, just being persistent and having some patience. There will be a really nice home for you and your family if you just remain diligent and remain patient. You're going to see a lot come on there that may just be completely unappealing. But if this is the area that you want to be in, just be patient. There's plenty of nice homes there that will fit your needs. But it's all about setting the expectation and getting understanding of what the market is providing you. And with this, you can negotiate on price. Don't go too low to make somebody upset, but you just want to make sure that you're, providing some kind of incentive if they are, in fact, taking you at a lower offer. So just kind of work with your agent and get an understanding of how to craft an offer that's still competitive, even if it is a little bit lower than what they're asking. And then kind of think about it long term. If you're buying up in this Havre de Grace area, this is still the closest thing to waterfront. So like, think about it like you're buying at the bottom almost, right? Like, I'm not a financial advisor by any means, and I'm not giving any financial advice, but these properties will typically appreciate, just like we have appreciation over the long run. So getting in now with some, either at a lower price point or some closing cost help or what have you, can go a long way over the course of time, as long as you plan to stay on the home, 5-10 years. If you're ready to make a move to Harford County, in any of the areas that we spoke about, be sure to comment Harford and download our Harford County Buyer's Guide. All right, now let's talk about where we see this Harford County market heading as we go into 2026 and beyond. In the short term, Bel Air is pretty much going to remain the same way it is now. Pretty stable, maybe a 2 to 3% appreciation. Aberdeen, this is, and that surrounding area is driven by military growth. So you could see, that appreciation in that 8% range. And then that Havre de Grace area, a lot of the water activities tend to die down as we approach the winter time. So kind of expect that to remain flat, maybe decelerate just a little bit, but as we approach the spring market, you can expect that to start to trend back up. And then if we think about it like on a yearly basis, maybe the next 1 to 2 years, all of the infrastructure that's going on Route 40, that is going to help. All of the revitalization of all of that area is only going to help the area and help appreciate the area. Aberdeen Proving Grounds is doing an expansion, so that is going to help lead to more jobs, so more people into the area. We do expect inventory levels to normalize a bit, especially as we approach a little bit softer curve of interest rates. So as interest rates start to level off a bit, maybe in that high 5% range, things will start to balance out and inventory will start to normalize across the board. And then we do expect some price appreciation to continue to happen with all of these things going on. The school systems remaining and doing well in testing scores and so forth, driving people to those areas still. So factor all these things in and we do see a nice steady appreciation. The only thing that can really put any of this at risk is, number one, interest rate increases. So if we get interest rates blossoming right up to the 7% mark like it was earlier this year and late last year, that can slow down inventory. If we have any military-based closures or military-based job closures, government contracting jobs, if any of those things kind of close down, we could see some people transitioning out of the area, which that would lead to probably some deceleration of that appreciation. Any of the overbuilding in Bel Air. So if they just build too much into Bel Air and it gets too congested, people are going to want to disperse accordingly to the areas surrounding Bel Air. So that would level off prices in Bel Air. And then if we were to hit any kind of recession, like a global recession or a recession here in the United States, that could trigger some things. But as it seems now, based on what we've got going on here as of September 2025, that doesn't look likely, but you never know, but you just want to remain diligent. So really, the bottom line is the inventory surge is really just going to be temporary. So this influx is just here and now. And as we approach, some softer interest rates, maybe a spring market, we'll tend to see this kind of just level off and be a more balanced market across the board. Now for the question of the day. For those of you looking to move within the state of Maryland, you're already here, you want to move to a different part. What part do you want to move to? Do you want to move from the city, out of the city, from Baltimore County to Anne Arundel County, Annapolis to Frederick? Let me know in the comments. I'm extremely interested. Get an understanding of where people are moving within the state. Even better, give me a call, shoot me a text. All my information is right on the screen here. Looking forward to hearing from you. So to wrap everything up, if you are a buyer and you need a checklist of what to do, how to be prepared. Number one, get pre-approved. Target the market that you are interested in and is practical for you and your family. Number three, start going out and seeing some places. You don't want to wait till the last minute. You want to know what you like. You may think you know what you want, but you really got to go out there and see it firsthand to be sure. Don't forget to negotiate aggressively. Be aggressive. Be aggressive. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The devil is in the delay. And then when you find that property, make sure you move fast on it. There's nothing worse than just seeing the property that's probably for you and then saying, oh, well, I'll get to it next week. The property will likely be gone. Act fast. And then if you're a seller and you need a checklist, make sure you're priced appropriately. Invest in your presentation, your curb appeal, your staging, your photos, your video. Consider the timing. Is really right now the best time for you to sell, or is maybe the spring or the summer? Be sure to work with your agent to make sure your timing is lined up for what you want to do moving forward. Be flexible on the terms. So if you're not in a super competitive situation, be flexible on what people are going to offer you. And then be aggressive again in some price cuts so that you're not on the market too long. If this analysis has helped you understand the dynamics of the Harford County area and what to expect in the various markets within Harford County, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you can stay current on everything we have going on here in the Baltimore metro area and in the surrounding counties. We help people like you navigate these situations on the daily via calls, texts, emails, in-persons, Zooms, etc. So if this is you, be sure to reach out. But until then, that's Kelly, I'm Mike. We'll catch you on the next video.